Grace today. I'm excited to bring you another cloth video. This is cloth number 8. Today we're going to do a Christmas ornament. So for the background, I'm going to use green. You can use whatever color you want. It really doesn't matter. Just something that you like. That's what you should use. So for this one, I'm using green for the background. I'm going to use some red, white, and you know what? I'm out of yellow completely in the cotton yarn. I'm completely out of yellow. So what I decided to do was chain up some of this alpaca yarn that I had, the thin one. If you've seen the videos I've done before, you've heard me talk about this yarn. It's not a favorite, but I kind of like the way that the texture turned out in the candle cloth. So I'm going to use it again as just a little addition to my ornament. And I think that it will turn out well, but we'll see. But you can use whatever colors you want to. You don't have to use the same as me. So let's get started, and I hope that you're going to have a lot of fun. This is an eye hook that I'm using, and of course you're going to need a yarn needle. And don't forget the all-important scissors. Alright, let's do it. To begin, of course, we're going to use our background color. So whatever your background color is, we're going to start with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 21. I use a Tupperware bowl, and I just put my yarn ball in there. It helps it not to run away from me as I'm working. And I like to keep a little, you can get whatever you want, a little container or whatever. I use a little container for my yarn scraps. So let's chain 21. And again, we're chaining loosely. We're not doing a tight chain, but it's not sloppy either. All right, and then we're going to work for row number 1. We're going to work into the second chain from the hook. Let me just zoom in a little bit. And if you like my bright pink nails, my daughter gave me one of her nail polishes. It was Peeps. If you've ever seen, like the marshmallow Peeps. But we were in Joann's one day, and she saw nail polishes, and I saw them too. It was like a nail polish, and it came with a little emery board. It was so cute. The emery board had a little peep on it, and each one was a different color and a different scent. I think this one was strawberry or something. You can smell it when you paint it on. But anyhow, she said, "This is an early Thanksgiving present for you," and I thought that was so sweet. I said, "Well, I tell you what, I'll paint my nails with it and wear it in my next tutorial video." So that's what I'm doing. So if you like this color, it is actually Peeps. The only thing we don't like about it is it's one of those that it goes on well. It's very smooth application, but you can just peel it right off. You don't have to have acetone or anything to remove it. It just peels right off. So we'll see how long it lasts. But let's crochet a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So not this one, but this one. So just a single crochet in each chain stitch across. And in the end, we'll end up with 20 single crochets. Okay, and that completes row 1. So now let's turn our work. For this row, we're going to start with whatever your ornament color is. Mine happens to be red, so I'm going to start with that. I will use white, but that'll come later on. But let's get that ornament color ready. So to start out with, on this row, we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to take 8 single crochets of green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then in the 9th one we're going to pull up a loop, and let's join on our red and complete that stitch with red, or whatever your ornament color is. So join on your ornament color and complete that stitch, and then we're going to work across the green and this tail of red, and that way there's less to weave in later. And we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then the second one we're just pulling up a loop, and we're going to complete that stitch with the green, and then we're going to work green to the end for 9 single crochets. Okay, so that's row 2. This row is just like the one before it. So of course we're going to chain 1 and work 8 single crochets and pull up a loop in number 9. Okay, take that red, complete that stitch, work across the green for 1 single crochet, and then in the second one, of course, just pull up a loop, and I'm still working across that red tail, just so I won't have so much to weave in later. Complete that stitch with green, and then work 9 single crochets with green to the end. And that ends row 3. Turn your work. On this one, we're going to take, of course, chain 1 and take 6 single crochets of green. Pull up a loop in number 7 and complete that stitch with red. So like on the previous cloths, if you haven't done the previous cloths, I'll have to tell you, of course, what I have already said on the others, and that is when you join, make sure that this string that you're carrying up is not too tight, because if it is, it'll cause a pucker in the cloth, and it's just not going to lie well. It's just going to be really noticeable. So we'll work this up as we go along, but we're going to take 5 single crochets of red, and of course working across the green. And then we're going to pull up a loop in the 6th one. Alright, and complete that stitch with green, and then we're going to work 7 single crochets of green to the end. These next 2 rows are going to be the same. You're going to chain 1, and we're going to work 5 single crochets of green, pulling up a loop in number 6. So this is 5, and then pull up a loop. Naturally, we're going to complete that stitch with red, and we're going to take 7 single crochets of red now. And remember to work across that green. You need to carry that. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in number 8 we're going to pull up a loop and complete it with the green. And work 6 single crochets to the end just in green. Turn your work, chain 1, 5 single crochets of green and pull up a loop in number 6. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to slow me down in the little settings of the video player, or you can pause it. This is going to be 7 single crochets carrying the green, 7 single crochets of red, and pull up a loop in the 8th one. And it's helpful to try to keep your tension the same throughout. I have a tendency, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that as I get towards the end of the project, my tension is much, much tighter than when I started out. So it starts out kind of loosely, and then I tighten up towards the end. I'm really trying to work on that. If that is a struggle for you, it's very helpful to leave the project for a little while. Just go and do something else and relax and come back to it later. It really helps a lot with the tension if you're having some issues with that. Okay, complete that stitch with green. Whoops, I got something else there. Alright, and then you're going to just work 6 single crochets of green to the end. Okay, at this point, I'm finished with red. If you want your ornament all one color, you just keep on going with this color. Okay, whatever color your ornament is. I'm going to have 3 different colors in my ornament, so I'm going to end off the red here. And just set it aside because I'll need it again later. And now I'm going to get ready my, I like to call this pumpkin color. It's almost more of like a butternut squash color, but you know what I mean. This kind of yellow orange. That's the color I'm going to add on next. So I'm going to get it ready. I'm going to turn my work. And this time I'm going to take, of course, chain 1, take 4 single crochets and pull up a loop in number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then pull up a loop in the 5th one. So instead of completing that stitch with red, I'm going to complete it with, you can use whatever color you want. Mine happens to be this squashy color. Okay, and now I'm going to take 9 single crochets with this color. And I'm still working across the green. Okay, and in the 10th stitch I am just going to pull up that loop. Complete that with green. And now I have 5 single crochets of green to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At this point I am finished with this color. So I'm going to go ahead and clip a tail. I'll weave in tails later. So now for this row I'm going to need white. This is the next color I'm going to add on. If you don't want so many colors, obviously you just keep going with this. It's going to be the same number throughout, no matter what color you're using. So if you're just going to use the one color, just follow along with your one color. Otherwise you can change colors here. But I'm going to do this row just like I did before, only I'm adding on white. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to single crochet 4, and then pull up a loop in number 5. Okay, so this is number 5. Now I'm going to join on the white and complete that stitch. I'm going to take 9 single crochets of white, pull up a loop in number 10, and complete that stitch with green. Okay, and then of course complete the cloth to the end, 5 single crochets of green. Okay, for the next row, we're going to of course turn and chain 1. We're going to single crochet 3 of green and then pull up a loop in number 4. 2, 3, and then in number 4 just pull up that green loop and complete that stitch with whatever color you're using. Mine happens to be white. And now we're going to take 11 single crochets, working across the green of course, and pull up a loop in number 12. So this is 10, 11, 12, and then complete that stitch with green, and you should have 4 single crochets to the end. We're just going to work that with green. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This row is going to be just like the one we did before. Chain 1, take 3 single crochets and pull up a loop in number 4. Oops. Completing that stitch with the ornament color, working across the green and taking 11 single crochets and pulling up a loop in number 12. Okay, and then complete that stitch with green and complete the cloth to the end with 4 single crochets. Okay, turn your work, chain 1. This time we're only taking 2 single crochets and pulling up a loop in the third one. So 2 and then pull up a loop, complete it with your ornament color. We're going to take 13 single crochets this time, working across the green and carrying it to the other side. And in the 14th stitch we are going to pull up a loop. Complete that stitch with green and then work 3 single crochets of green to the end. Alright, at this point I am finished with the white, so I'm going to go ahead and clip a tail and put that to the side. The next color I'm going to need is this kind of squashy color again. So I'm going to get it ready. I'm going to take a minute to weave in the ends that I have here already, and you can do the same if you want to, or just kind of hang out, and I'll be right back. Alright, on this row I'm taking 2 single crochets and pulling up a loop in the third. So let's chain 1, take 2 single crochets and pull up a loop. And this time, of course, instead of the color I was using before, I'm using this color. So I'm going to go ahead and join that on and complete that stitch. I'm going to work across this tail and across the green and carry it to the other side. And I'm going to take the same number of stitches that I did on the row before. I'm going to take 13 single crochets and pull up a loop in 14. Oops. 2. Okay, pull up that loop and complete the stitch with the green. And then, of course, we have 3 single crochets to the end just with green. For the second time, I'm finished with this color, so I'm going to go ahead and clip a tail and put this color to the side. I am going to turn my work and gonna chain 1, do 2 single crochets of green, and in the third one pull up a loop. This time I'm attaching on red again. And I'm going to take the same number of stitches that I did before. So again, I'm taking 13 single crochets and then pulling up a loop in 14. Okay, pull up that loop and then of course complete it with green. Work those 3 single crochets to the end just with green. 2 and 3. Alright, it's time to turn the work. And this time we're taking a few more stitches of green. We're going to do 3 stitches of green this time. So 1, 2, 3 single crochets of the green, and then pull up a loop in number 4. So we're starting to, we've been working our way out, now it's time to go back in. So we're taking a few more on the edges and less in the middle. So this time we're going to have 11 single crochets of red, so complete that stitch with the red. Now we're going to do 11 single crochets with red and then pull up a loop in number 12. Okay. 11 and 12. Let's complete that stitch with green and then we'll work 4 single crochets of green to the end. 2, 3, and 4. This row is going to be exactly like the last one, so of course we're going to chain 1 and then work 3 single crochets of green, pulling up a loop in number 4, completing that stitch with the ornament color, and then working 11 single crochets and pulling up a loop in the 12th one. Okay, pull up that loop, complete it with green, and then 4 single crochets of green to the end. Okay, now for the next row, we're going to take a few more stitches of green, so let's chain 1. We're going to do 5 single crochets of green on this row, and pull up a loop in number 6 and complete that stitch, whoops, with your ornament color. Alright, now we're going to take 7 single crochets and pull up a loop in number 8. Seven, 8, complete that stitch with green, whoops, and then work 6 single crochets to the end just with green. On the next row, we're going to chain 1 and take 7 single crochets of green and pull up a loop in number 8. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, and pull up a loop in number 8. Complete that stitch with your ornament color. Working across the green, of course, we're still carrying that from side to side. And this time we're taking 3 single crochets of red and pulling up a loop in number 4. So 2, 3, and then a loop in number 4. Of course, completing that with the green. And then work the cloth to the end for 8 single crochets of green. Okay, we're nearly done. We have 3 more rows to go. So now we're finished with, or I'm finished with red. So I'm going to go ahead and clip that tail, set that to the side. I need this pumpkin-y color, the squashy color, whatever you want to call it, yellow-orange. I'm going to use it one more time for the very top of the ornament. So I'm going to chain 1, and this time I'm taking 8 single crochets and pulling up a loop in the 9th one. Whoops. Okay, and now I need to complete this stitch with this color. You can use, if you're, use whatever color you want. And I'm going to take 2 stitches, well, I'm going to do the 1 single crochet and then pull up a loop in the second one. Completing that stitch with green and working 9 single crochets to the end of the cloth. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and flip. This one's going to be just like the last one, so chain 1 and work 8 single crochets, pulling up a loop in number 9. So pull up that loop, complete the stitch with your other color, your ornament color. Alright, and now of course working across the green, and I'm going to work this tail in as well. I'm just going to take the 1 single crochet and pull up a loop in the second one. Okay, I'm finished with this color, so I'm going to clip a tail, put that away. Complete the stitch with green, work 9 single crochets to the end. Okay, for the final row, I'm just going to work 1 row of single crochet in green, so just green, all the way across. And If you're counting, it's still 20 single crochets. There we go. Final stitch. Okay, so now it's time to end off. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that through. I'm going to take my yarn needle and weave in all the ends, and you can do the same, and then I will see you again. Okay, so this is the completed cloth. I hope that you really had a good time doing this ornament project with me. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought, you know, next to the wreath one, I think the wreath was probably my favorite one to do. This is probably second favorite for sure. I had a lot of fun with this one. I enjoyed the color changes. They're so bright. It totally reminds me of an ornament. If you wanted it round, you could just tweak the pattern a little bit. Don't add on this little point. This is more like the ornaments of yesteryear, when they had all these bright, very bright colors, and the ornaments were not just all round. But I have really, really enjoyed this project. I hope you did as well. The green background was because naturally ornaments hang on a tree, and I just thought it might look kind of neat if it was on a green background. You can use whatever color you want for any part of this project. Just feel free to have fun with it. It was just tons of fun for me to come up with and to do. I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving, a very Merry Christmas, and just have a happy day. Bye!